Hello, and welcome to this special edition of Gwadogan TV. This is the first in a series of special episodes on the Seigneury of Sault Ste. Louis. We hope that this series will help you understand the history behind our long-standing land grievance, a dispute that has been ongoing for more than 300 years. In this episode, Elder Billy Two Rivers talks about life before the first French settlers came to our territory. In keeping with our oral history, Billy tells our story in his words. We've translated this episode from our language to English and have tried to keep it as close to Billy's words as possible.
Hello, and welcome to all those watching. I'm here to talk to you about our land, where we live, from a time before the French and when they first arrived to settle. A long time ago, our ancestors and those from the Five Nations came to this area. Many settled in different places. In our area, the Mohawks called it the Eastern Door. The area where the Seneca finally settled was called the Western Door. If you look back a long time ago, that's how our ancestors came to settle in this area. Our people used the water systems around them. They settled by the water for many reasons. The river where our ancestors settled is now called the St. Lawrence, which passes by the area now known as Sorel. From there, the Richelieu River takes you south to another river in Albany. The English settlers later called it the Mohawk River, which would take you to Oswego, or how it's now known as Lake Erie. Which leads back to the St. Lawrence. Our people lived inside the circle of rivers. We used them to travel to our lands. At that time, our people were able to keep track of who passed through our territory and crossed what they now call our borders. Our people even had what the English called a customs house. In our area, Kahnawake, we had one of these customs houses. It was the Rapids. People traveling the St. Lawrence would have to get out of their canoes and portage. That's how we knew who was coming and going through our territory. Another one of these customs houses was in an area now called Chambly. The rapids there also allowed us to know who was canoeing and walking through our lands, and we'd be able to keep track of them until they reached Albany. There, too, travelers would have to get out and deal with the rapids near the town of Kahnawake. There was also another village in that area, also called Kahnawake. Travelers would have to stop there, and our people once again knew who was passing through, right up until Seneca country in Lake Erie, and this is why our ancestors decided to settle in this area. Lake Erie, Oswego Guayats. Togi Gadinu, Ronaderagun, Guasutsara, Tonu Ona, with the Waderago gone the west again. Negi Gadine Gonagua, Onjinagua, Anagunagua. In the east where we live, we had to be very careful who was coming to our territory.
Yutini gunrare. Tanugi agwen jaguetagi. Tony ya se tukni ore de Yuguahes. The one I want that tanu quatsin yore.
There's a long road that would take you to Tudasak. There, they could trade with the Northern Cree.
Togeni oregi zokru wanat konzeres ne otorege ronu Cree.
Then they would go to an area what the first settlers called Stadacona, near Quebec City.
Negine kana stadunkoa, ne do wana dunkwane, ne nuwa ladina no Quebec City. Negi to, tanu gonawa yose. Quaquino scanetta di onjoran sanu another dinadunqua Albany. Tanune Kahnawake,
Schenectady, which is near Albany, and where the Seneca lived, Lake Erie. A long time before the white man came, this is where we lived.
Negi the Wadadawis. Tanu Jigan, only Gino was the acta wastuna. Gone get the Wanagarek with Kahnawake, Gina the gun to way dairy. Tanu Wahun is 100 in your sorrow and a Naraga. Gone to what the Rundakwe. Tanu Nana.
When French explorer Jacques Cartier came here, he called or named the area Stadacona.
Sokta Handara.
The chief of the village was a man called Donnacona, and he showed us much respect. When Cartier was told the name of the area where he landed, Ganastat-Dungoa, which in our language means big town, all Cartier and his men could hear or understand was Stadacona. And over here in our area, there was a town on the island of Montreal. Our people all lived together. The Bears lived in Montreal.
Today, if
you look at old books and maps, you'll see the Chateauguay River west of our village. We call it the Wolf River because that is where the Wolf clan lived. The Wolf clan didn't just live on one side of the river, they lived in an area around the river. To the east, there's a river in an area now called La Prairie. It's called the Turtle River, and that's where the Turtle clan lived. That's how our family spread out and lived. In Montreal, we would find the Bear clan, the Turtles in the east, and the Wolf clan lived in the west. Cartier was the first of the white men to come to our lands. He stopped in Montreal because that's where the water was deepest and could accommodate his large ship. From there, they paddled to our shores. When our ancestors first saw him and his men, they were trying to figure out who they were.
Our
ancestors never saw anybody dressed like that. When Jacques Cartier first met the Mohawk, he greeted them the only way he knew how, the European way, a peaceful handshake.
Ozaruni, Kanajan. Wasagudinat Sagina and wet that summer, Negina Toruna, Negina Oquadine Hudita Rota. So can I want that the one understand was such a wet door, the ski unkaki got one order, Negi, you cannot saw the ski on what they cannot saga. Oshaaga.
Then, all of Cartier's men began shaking hands with the Mohawks. Our elders then asked who all these men were and replied, Oshaaga, which means the people of the hand, because they were shaking hands. All that Cartier's men heard was Hochelaga, so they called us the Hochelagas.
Ongi gadi
Now we have an understanding that our people were here first, that our people came from the east and settled here. And it's still like that today.
Yated what's the lista got no, neither radina dunquagana Kahnawake. Onagi gonungi Gine what boom out.
While we live here in Kahnawake, we boom out to find work and jobs.
Only wa Jiknun did Western Daniel, wa di reward, okay. Zigan, only Janito, only walk on old Radigariak skills are only the tenor that always.
But we've been in this area for a long time, centuries.
On a wet over, Yasedoske there, on a gun JACQUES, do Karanio Sonser, as your sonser that are going to eat the West Square.
We have to remind the white people that this is our land, that it belongs to us. The King of France knew that too. He even wrote it down on a piece of paper, saying that no one can come here and take our land.
Dan wahariana saruni ne tossa am dahu dawya der ne radinaraga ne ozaruni ne ganajan tossa tu dawyat yato diana saraya wa rama wahayana sariza waharu negi radiji honstaji radi nigun rada ki tossa tunayaon onagi gas yagwanagare nene watu teni nan watadi yosunda watadi yasunda King Louis
XIV told the priests that came here to watch out for us and to make sure the white men would not come to settle here.
Lake St. Louis, But
when they settled nearby and saw how good our land was for farming, they took it and lived on our territory.
Tagwe tora di dorunda kwe. Onigi Geneva onzuwa tataorogi agwegi iungwao. Yana wonder de what kawa. Yana wonder de utili wawi ne gan hunja zenura di dorunda on de gayaku.
This is our land. All these towns, Saint Constant, Candiac, that's ours. We never gave it up.
Negi zenun wa hundenaduni. Iung Wahunza, Toradido, Ned the way he are, Yana one day what cow. Donna Yoho, he died the way outdoor, then the way around. Negi didn't zone the way he are again. Yet what's the least another?
This is our land. We have to remember that. And it doesn't matter what white people say. We never gave up our territory, even the land from here to Albany and to Lake Erie. That's all ours too.
Watching your nail swagger. I wear Saturday wow. I wear Saturday way out door. Then got to get soon on to your Tadger. He did and I was asked.
We are the same people. We are the Iroquois.
Legit away here, away wow. Then when honor you got when I do what they didn't who reads again. O'Neill, what he was soon as a high runner. Ya, what's a nunyat there. Nene da had the gusto daje. Ne ya the wagon, Onada a tia said, no, I'm down da sudero. Thus I do what they want to. Naganyanga Hagan it the way at daughter. Jogged the way here.
We should never forget that we are Mohawk people.
Toga got ke sunwa ne to waja da ro ke dan so han de one zone I so wadoga se agat sununi gi ne dai do watar dan dai do wadet ne gu rai das de sa connect gi na ho de daga de ne gu rat ka we connect ne I ai do what's de am dai do wadade ne
when the time comes to talk about different things, I'd be more than happy to share more with you.
Jogo de gan yago square. To as you sorcerer de Singari was going to yago. Tanu got to get soon. Honor yat the Scariwis.
This was always our land, and we can never forget that. That's all my words.
Thank you for watching this first installment of our special for Gwadogan TV on the Seigneury of Sault Ste. Louis. Join us next time for part 2, when we highlight the French regime and the impact their system of land management had on our ancestors' way of life and Kahnawakeh's land base. Niawagoa, Dana Ona Giwahi.